Welcome to Right Talk with Mike Lee. Tonight I have a special guest who is actually a friend of mine. I think I can safely say that.
Oh, yeah.
And this is kind of a trailer park refugee show. and the reason I say that is this. Gabe used to help out with the trailer park with Pokey.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabe decided he was going to run for the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
At which time I started calling him Chief Running Gabe, and he didn't even slap me. and so
well,
what?
Be a hate crime. That's why.
okay. So when Gabe started running, I decided that I should help Pokey. That was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pokey and I talked quite a bit, and we decided to do like Sanford and Son. I was going to be like Grady.
Oh, there you go.
So that's how I ended up here. So it's actually your fault that I'm here.
I will take that with a badge of honor, and I'll be happy to go ahead and say, yeah, I started Right Talk. I helped start Right Talk. I like it.
And I want to chat with Gabe about several things tonight. So as always, my theme is always, I believe that what's good for the black community is good for the community. Mm-hmm. At one point during this campaign, Gabe had co-opted my statement and said what's good for the, he applied that to the Asian community, the Hispanic community, and any other community he could find.
Right.
I'm just glad he didn't find some skunks or something like that. But anyway, you know that's how I feel. I can take my glasses off. I'm still the revolutionary Republican. But I want to talk with Gabe tonight about some current things that are going on within the Republican Party, as well as some of the things that we experienced in the course of his campaign. Because when Gabe was running for state legislature, he and I went to a lot of the same places, a lot of the same little meetings, mm-hmm. because what we're doing, one of the toughest things, actually, it's tough being a Republican. It's not fun. You're not liked. They think you're Uncle Tom, a sellout, and all that good stuff. Call you all kind of names. Your brothers get mad at you sometimes. Your wife might get mad at you. You find out who your friends are or aren't. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy. But one of the challenges that we face particularly, and I work as the outreach director for the Travis County Republican Party. In large measure, we do have a lot of relationships with the Republican Party of Texas. One of the most challenging aspects is trying to grow the party, because I know from my own personal experience that there are many blacks and probably many Hispanics who have conservative values, but they don't vote that way. Right. And one of the things that I'm committed to trying to do is trying to get people more to vote their values, because I believe that competition is good.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And here in Travis County, I think we're outnumbered like 65 to 35, something like that.
Yeah, it's about that. Overall, within the county itself, yes.
That's not really competition. And I've learned that there are judges who have been appointed by Republican governors who, because they wanted to maintain their offices, they ran as Democrats so they could win. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a sad situation. When I first got involved in politics in Travis County, I just wanted to be a precinct chair. But James Dickey had a different idea. I don't know that it was a better idea, but he had a different idea. But he got me into this outreach director situation. And one of the things I wanted to do was try to help candidates as much as I can. And we went into some interesting places during the course of the campaign. I think you, Mara, and I were doing things like being at the Carver on Friday night and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We did some things that had never been done before in the history of this county.
True. That is true. One of the most interesting things that happened throughout the campaign was you and I were the first Republicans to go into, or first public Republicans to go into various parts of East Austin that not many people wanted to go. For example, we went to the Austin Justice Coalition meet and greet that they had
Right.
for the primary candidates. You and I were the only Republicans there. We got in there and we were looked and shunned by many people. Other ones that we found in East Austin that were the closet Republicans, or as they call them, the closet conservatives. They couldn't be identified as conservatives because they would get in trouble with their friends. We were able to identify more people in that end, and which is a big win for us. But we also went into a couple of other places where they were looking at us and said, "Why are you here?" And it was kind of an amazing thing where you and I talked about this a while back, where you got into some trouble with some people. I kind of like said, "Okay, great, thanks. We're going to go ahead and turn around and walk away." My wife and I, when we were out campaigning, we went into East Austin as well, and we were surprised by the different feedback of what was going on when we were identifying as Republicans. And you're right. In Travis County, not many people are able to probably be able to probably say that, yeah, I'm a Republican, I vote Republican on most cases, without facing some type of backlash, depending on where you're talking at. If you're talking in East Austin, where you and I spent the majority of our time, we got a lot of pushback on that part. And they're like, what's a Republican doing over here? And they're like, well, congratulations, you're not number one. And, we go into Manor, give and take on that part. We go into Pflugerville, we got a lot of good positive feedback on that end. But it was those areas that our party had decided to walk away from many years ago, where we are now taking our foothold again. That they were saying, "Why are you here?" Or "Thank God you're here, and it's about time you guys showed up. And where the hell have you guys been?" And going, I want to expand a little bit about what you were talking about, the RPT, and I'll rip the Band-Aid out. I'll rip the Band-Aid out for everybody here. When it comes to Travis County, and in many places around Travis County, the RPT just says, "Okay, great, you stay over there. We're going to concentrate on these select areas because, one, they think like us more, they look like us more, and they have more money for us in that regards." And those are the three unfortunate situations that I saw. Now, I could be wrong, but the perception that I saw and the perception that other people saw was about the exact same thing. And you and I had to push back against that whole stereotype about who a Republican is, or what a Republican is
Looks like, what they look like.
And what they look like. In regards to saying, no, you can't be Republican and be poor. You can't be Republican and look brown, and look black, and look yellow, look green, whatever color you think is not appropriate as being a Republican. And yes, you will face some backlash. You will face some people looking at you funny, and you will have people saying, "Why are you voting for this person?" But at the end of the day,
not in a nice voice.
And not in a nice voice, at all. But at the end of the day, we're still going to come out, saying, "Yeah, this is what we believe in." Oh well, because it's our principles. It's our principles about what make us us, just like what makes a Democrat, what makes a Libertarian, what makes a Green Party person, from a political standpoint. But it's a piece of what identifies us, and a lot of people don't look at it that way. They say, "Oh, you're a Democrat. Oh, I can't talk to you. You're a Republican. You're evil."
Right. Now, Gabe, in the course of working as the outreach director, at one meeting, there was one EC meeting, you weren't there. Cliff Stiles was there with me. He was there at that meeting. James asked me to make a report, and I ended up making like sort of a speech. And during the course of what I was saying, I said, I'd let him know, I just tell the truth, because it's really the way my mama, she's gone upside my head for that. And what came out of my mouth, I couldn't believe it came out of my mouth. I said, I let them, I'm in a room, it's a room full of so-called Republicans that most people think about, a bunch of elderly white men. I think Cliff and I were the only two people of color in the whole room. And we're talking about a full quorum, which was about 100 some people. And I just said very clearly and honestly that you need to perceive that what I'm trying to work against is you have to understand that this party is perceived as being a bunch of white men, and you're perceived as a bunch of pistol packing, flag waving racists.
Yes.
And it came out of my mouth.
Yeah, and I remember hearing about that. I remember hearing about that, and I'm like, oh, I bet you that went well.
But it came out. But I only know when I'm called to speak on off the cuff, as I am here. I only know just to speak from the heart.
Right.
And that is what I perceive, and that troubles me because this is the party, not just the party of Lincoln, but it's also the party which, when I was first started studying politics when I was in high school, the only black senator was a black Republican from Massachusetts named Edmund Brooke, who was Bush Johnson of the Cowboys' cousin or something. And so I came to understand that this Republican Party of Texas is like a two-headed monster. We have Dixiecrats, who used to be Ku Klux Klan type people, and we have Lincoln Republicans.
Right.
And you have to, I think it's important to understand that you have those two factions.
Okay.
And to me, it's almost like the Dixiecrats are hiding. And I almost wonder and they also not say Republican or rhinos, Republican in name only.
Right.
I think that's who they probably are.
Which in the Dixiecrats?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And that might be.
They fled to they drifted to the Republican Party because during a time when the Democratic Party was thought to start becoming too liberal. And they had some nutty ideas, like men are not men. They're what you want to be. They're trees. I was in the Empire State Building a few months ago. But
how did that work?
Because that's how I identified. Nobody's. I thought somebody at least sent me some money or something. Offered to build some escalators or something for passengers or something. Because I was a building. It didn't work out too good. But getting back to my point is the Republican Party values are what always seemed to make sense to me. When I was in high school, conservative meant that you were for gradual change. Liberal meant you change and it's like you jump off the cliff and see what happens after you jump.
Right.
Republicans were more like a look before you leap. Liberals were like leap and then look. That's how, in my mind, oversimplified. That's how I looked at it then. But now, when you say conservative or Republican, it's almost like you said a four-letter word.
It is. It is, and many people are afraid to say that because there's a couple of reasons why, from what I've seen. One is it goes back to the whole that you mentioned about the whole separation between the Lincoln Republicans and the Dixiecrats that are within the party. They are unable to see the differences between the two. And I will say that a lot of our personal friends, I like to think, are more the Lincoln Republicans than the Dixiecrats themselves, especially that live in the Travis County area, because they have to go through a unique situation as being the only or one of the major liberal counties throughout the state of Texas, and they've fought for many of the principles that we believe in, that you and I believe in, when it comes to life, liberty, and opportunity. They believe in many of the core values of the conservative beliefs. Self-responsibility. Yeah, and not many of the Dixiecrats are probably here in this area. We can probably identify more up north, in many cases, in that area about the Dixiecrats areas. But it's kind of one of those unique situations about that separation that you're seeing, because even as a candidate, you can see that separation. You can see that separation in a heartbeat. When I ran, you would see those people that are saying, "Hey, I'm going to root for you. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to see what I can do." Whether they pray for you or even say, "I'm going to tell a friend," because that was value. You may not be able to see the metric on that end, but that was value for us and for me, because I was able to say, "Look, I can count on this person to talk to at least one more person within the area, and be able to share information about me." And be able to say, okay, this person is a good guy to vote for. As opposed to the ones that said, oh, you're running. Well, good luck with that. And then they'd walk away. And that was a significant difference. The difference was that they said, oh, you know, you have those that are saying, I believe in what you're saying, versus those that say, okay, have fun.
Right.
You haven't proven anything to me other than you're running, and that's it. And in reality, in many cases, you shouldn't have to prove anything else because of the fact that you are running. And if you are running based on what you believe in, and they are able to see it without you having to say it time and time and time again, then those people aren't going to help you. Those people are not those true believers of what liberty is and what freedom is. Those are what, as you said, those are those individuals that are the Dixiecrats, who happen to be, many of them are white.
So the EC meetings for me are always interesting because I'm usually the only person of color in the room, usually. And sometimes when I go to various Republican club meetings, I actually go in expecting to be one of a few. I expect to be just me. But that's okay with me because my educational background, when I went to college, we had like 2,000 students. We had 40 black students. Half of them talk like this.
Right.
And but I just talk like I talk. And when I went to law school, we had 750 law students. We had a handful of black law students, and that's like 5, maybe 5, 7, something like that. And then of the 5 of us, myself and one other black student, we started the Black American Law Student Association. That's what I think about being the only one in the room.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm a creature of God, and if God is with me, I'm not worried about the rest of y'all in the room. I don't care if you're green, red, blue, yellow. I don't care what color you are. It has nothing to do with anything. We're all human, and as Trump said and got jumped on for saying it, we all bleed red blood. Somehow that became a racist statement, maybe because he said it.
True.
I say it, so I must be a sellout on Uncle Tom or something else. But I noticed since Trump won, since he broke out my older brother's ex-cellmate Don King, they stopped calling us names like Uncle Tom so much. I even challenged a few of my friends on Facebook. Is Don King Uncle Tom, y'all? Who am calling him one?
I think what happened is this: a lot of people we get the backlash, and I got to the point where I just didn't say anything. When it came to the presidential area, I backed away from it completely after Ted Cruz walked away. And the only reason why I didn't say anything about the presidential side is because I knew it would negatively affect me. Because I tell people, and I still believe that I'm not your daddy's GOP. I have my right to my own opinions and views that I believe are in line with the values of being a conservative. But who I choose to pick and who I choose to vote for as president or governor is my choice. It should be who I choose. And that's why they call it. That's why the ballots are supposed to be secret. And I never criticize or question anybody else's choices as to who they wanted to vote for president or anybody else. But in many cases, you have to be quiet about that part because people were saying, "Hey, well, you're the Uncle Tom. You're a sellout. It is vendido." And they would look at you funny because you're like, you say, "Yeah, I voted for Trump," and I think we're now at that point where if you say that you admit that you voted for Trump, it's already 4 months in.
You can say it.
You can say it without having many people saying, "Oh my God, you're the Antichrist." You're okay with that part, and you just move forward and you say, "Okay, what do we do now?" Every once in a while they'll pick on you. They'll say, "Well, what did your guy do now?" And that's okay because we used to do the exact same thing also with President Obama. But the funny part about how the stark differences in this regards is that when it comes to a liberal candidate, had Hillary won, and we make any comments, we would be still ostracized left and right.
Yeah.
That. They have decided to, the people that didn't support Trump are now pretty much walking away from those comments because they realize that, one, those that they were critical of, they're now doing the exact same thing of what happened back in 2008 and 2012. And it's now they're trying to settle and lick their wounds about what happened and see what they can do now with the next phase. So we're gonna have to probably wait for another year before we start seeing a rise in the political hatred, and another 3 years before we see even more people talking about the whole political rhetoric of saying, well, you voted for the Antichrist, versus, you know, you have to vote for this other person because this other person's a liberal and heavenly and believes in killing babies.
Well, the people who were protesting the present president first, I knew they run out of gas because they reminded me of the people like in Iran and stuff like that. You know, where they get upset and beat themselves over the head and all that. So you can only be upset for so long. But I guess I kind of hope it's over. But then again, I think maybe they're resting to
They're resting.
get a second win.
They're resting. I will guarantee that they are resting right now for the next round. 2018 will probably be one of the biggest.
Midterms.
The midterms will be one of the biggest fights that we're going to have, because many people are starting to line up. In fact, you know, I mean, for example, who's ever ran against Mike McCall? We have a person that's running against him. I know a person that's running against him on the Democrat side, and whether he's successful or not, I don't know. But there's people lining up of what's happening, and that's going to be. We're now seeing that part now where they're identifying people to say, let's go and run against. And what are we doing on
that gets to something that I want to talk about. Now, in terms of outreach at the county level, I have all the cooperation and support and assistance and backing in the world. I have a counterpart at the RPT level, R.W. Bray, who does not enjoy the kind of support that I enjoy. I don't think he does. I know that at one point, and this is inside laundry, but I'm just going to tell it anyway. We had planned to have a gala, and the county Republican Party was willing to fund their portion, but not the RPT.
Right.
And it's kind of like, and when James first said, Michael, I have a different idea for you, I said, okay. And the first thing I told James, I said, James, look, I don't believe in conceding the black vote. I don't believe in that, period. We can get some black votes. It may not be a bunch, it may not be immediate, but we can get some in time.
Right.
And I say, James, we're going to have to go some places that are not always friendly. And we went to the Victory. We went, I still am thankful and grateful for Richard Franklin. We went to borrow meetings, and we went places that were, quite frankly, hostile.
Oh yeah.
But to me, that's a beating we had to take, because what happened, in my view, is that for 50 years, we were demonized and vilified by the, quote, mainstream media. And that's partly the Republican Party's fault, because they said nothing back. And all people heard was one thing. And so we have a 50-year deficit to make up. I know when I first started doing the outreach director thing, we went to the Juneteenth parade for the first time. And people saw us ride by on the float with Workman and Zim. It's like, what are you doing here? Republican Party, write me a check, which was very instructive.
Yeah.
But it was that far gone to the point that basically, what the hell are you doing here?
Exactly.
And that's the situation. We have deficits to make up, and because as a party we have those deficits to make up, and we're out there on the front line, you know, we're taking shots left and right. And to me, the people at the top, because things start from the top and trickle down. Just as James supported me in what I was trying to do, and even when Robert Morrow won, what he said was, as if it made any difference, that I could keep on doing what I was doing, like he could have stopped me anyway. You can't stop me doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
True.
Because what I do from here, and I do at the instruction of the man upstairs. Right. And I'm acting honestly. It's not a temporary thing with me. So it doesn't matter. In terms of me, it doesn't matter who's at the top. I know who's at the top, and it's not a human. But when it's in most organization structures, who's at the top matters. And to me, what happens at the county level and the state level is different. And there's not necessarily always cooperation as it should be.
Correct.
For example, in your race, I don't know, only you know, I believe that you didn't receive maximum assistance from the RPT.
Oh God, no. Okay.
And that's sad, and that's
Right.
wrong.
And I can, yeah, it is, because from what we understand is that they wanted a big change. And correct me if I'm wrong in this part when it came to the outreach for minority groups. The biggest one that they wanted to go to is going to the Black community, and they wanted to make a significant change about getting more voters to go ahead and vote Republican because of similar values. They didn't go for the Hispanic group because what they found, and this is kind of the observation that I had, is that when it came to the governor's race, when they found out how many Latinos or how many Hispanics voted for Abbott, they're like, we're done. We don't need to worry about it. We got the top chef. We got the top chef over here in the state. We don't have to worry about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to the Black votes, they knew that they were short on that end, and so they wanted to make those fundamental changes about doing more outreach so that they can go for that vote. But you're right. When they said, okay, here's a message, go do it. But when it came time to support, they never did anything. I'll give you a good example. You wanted to do an event at Houston Tillerson,
Right.
and you were telling me we were having some problems connecting with Tom Mechler, who was the head at the time. And I'm throwing his name out there because I still have the email in my.
Well, I got something for him later.
and my wife, who was my campaign manager at the time, before she had to back away for a little bit in May during the summer, she and it was actually a good thing why she had to back away. There's actually a really good reason why, and we'll leave that part alone. I was very proud of what she did on that end. We sent out an email to the heads, Amy Clark, Tom Mechler, the communications director, and a few other people within the party, and we said that we need your help. So, and we told them, look, we're going against the most embattled Democrat in Travis County right now. She's on the ropes, and we can use some help.
Grand jury's looking at her.
And well, all the investigations started happening. All the stuff was starting to happen, and they were looking at her kind of funny because of the accusations that were going on. And we're like, we can do something here, but we need your help. And we never got anything. You know what I got in response? I sent the email out. You saw the email. My wife saw it before I even.
Yeah, you paid some dues, right?
Yeah. I got a response back saying, hey, by the way, thanks a lot for the letter. By the way, have you paid your dues yet? You owe us money before we can even talk to you. And even after that, we said, fine, we're going to keep on doing what we got to do. We paid out of pocket for many of the events that we did. When it came time to have our meetings, when it came time to do our town hall meetings, we put money, or we invested money into these events when the state could have said, hey, how about we help you? We had the communications director who lives here in Austin saying, we'll send out information that you send us. We sent them out information, never got sent out. I still have those emails. They never sent out squat for us when it came to saying, hey, by the way, this is what's going on over here in Austin. How about you help out or attend? Didn't matter if you lived in the district or not. How about you show up to East Austin when nobody wants to go to? No, never got squat on that end. And so we had to fight that on our own battle, in our own terms, when we had to get everything that was going on. But they never came out to say, what can we do to help you out? What they actually said to me in a roundabout way, you're in a losing battle. We don't want to spend any money on your area because even though we want that vote, and we've got a large percentage of people, we've got 30% who are identified as African American or Black. We don't want them. We know you have a good number in there, but we don't want them. We know you have another 30% or 30, I think it was 33% of Hispanics. We can get some vote. We know you have that Spanish surname. We know you can associate with that information, but no, we don't want to help you out because they all vote Democrat. We don't want to take that foothold. We don't want to take that chance. So what did you and I do? We went in there.
We went in anyway.
We went in anyway, and we actually took some of those voters.
Usually, I went in first.
Yes. You were the tip of the spear, and we came in and we started barreling through to make that wound bigger. And with my size, that wound got pretty big. So, but we took away votes from them. And we actually had people come in and vote for us, and vote for the campaign because they knew something was going to happen.
And what I used to do, Gabe, was I used to go in, quote, hostile places. And there's one guy we met in particular, what's his name? Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
I met him because I went to what would typically be perceived as a hostile meeting. It's one Richard Franklin has every Wednesday. And Richard says, when I came, he says, Michael's a Republican. He'll give reason not to trust him, I trust him. Because my thing is what's right for the community, period. The whole community.
Right.
Not just a specific part, but to me, to make a specific part better, you can do that. You don't have to take something away from anybody else. You can just raise it up. The whole boat rises.
Yeah.
That's my thinking.
And they never want to, and the RPT did not want to take time or invest human capital. We're not talking about, we ask for money, but if we can have the human capital from the higher ups to come over here and help out, it would have helped us out a lot more. Where were they at? They were on the west side of 35. They were on the north side of Austin, but they were never in the areas where they said that they wanted to be in order to get the votes. How are we going to be able to study the metrics? How are we going to be able to get the numbers of who's going to help us out?
Now here's what's eating at me, especially lately. I sent you an email that I received from about State Republican Executive Committeeman Edwards, saying, complaining about Mechler. He told Mechler, "Do your damn job." That's what he said.
Oh yeah.
Because apparently Chairman Mechler had made some promises about really trying to increase the amount of votes we get from, let's say, East Austin. But the commitment, the type of financial commitment or the type of commitment to try to make that happen has not been forthcoming.
Right.
And I think what he did in this, from what I've read, the director of outreach and engagement for the RPT, I think he came down on him pretty hard on the radio interview.
Oh yeah, he did.
Now, in reading the article, it shows me some symptoms of what bothers me. The article refers to a meeting in Dallas that I didn't know about. And since that time, I got this last Friday, I got May 12th, I just got this. I've talked to a guy in Dallas. I've talked to a couple of guys in Dallas. And I've been talking to conservatives that I think I should have met through the RPT some kind of way. One of them was even interviewed for the outreach and engagement job. And I met him through one of my associates in MLK, which I organized as an outreach organ for the TCRP. You know, you and I and my wife, you know, we did that so that we could have an organ to work through. Right. Because that didn't exist before. Now, even though the RPT recognizes the MLK Association, there's one in Houston, supposed to be one in Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. That's what I know so far. But I don't know that there's one big umbrella at the RPT level. So what we did was make sure we had one for Travis. Right. And the surrounding, and we'll be working in the surrounding 5 counties of Williamson, Bastrop, Hayes, and Caldwell. And even we've got some connections in Killeen, and right now McLennan County, because there are some projects and stuff that we're working on, because I believe in doing what's right. If there's an area, there are pockets of African Americans in various places throughout this giant state. And so I'm willing to go anywhere that's reasonable in the general area. But this costs money and gas. And right now, that's something that my wife and I we've been footing that bill. And we shouldn't have to foot that bill.
You're right. And they will not do that. They will not do what's right for the party. What's right for the people. As the way I mentioned to a couple of people, and I'm going to throw this out there again, and I'm not really worried about what the repercussion is going to be. But the only time that Tom Mechler will stand next to me is for a photo op. The only time Tom Mechler will talk to me is to say, "Hey, you're in that same area that we got to go take a picture at," and I'll shake your hand, but I won't get a picture with you. I'll be with the group over here. True story. I'm not lying on this part because that's what happened. That's what happened at the RPT office here in Austin. He looked at me and was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then my campaign manager at the time said, "Hey, this is Gabriel Nila. You know who he's running against Donna Dukes." He's like, "Oh, yeah." Kind of left it alone, and that's it. Blew me off after that. But when it came time for that photo op, I said, hey, come on over, have a photo. Have a photo with us. And if you look at that photo, I'll see if I can find that photo again. If you look at that photo, I'm the guy over here on the side. And I had to stand back a little bit because I'm like, no, I can't do this. My wife got mad at me. Now, there's a reason why she did that. She was absolutely right, saying if you're gonna be a part of a photo, be a part of the photo. But the reality of the situation is that if the main people at the RPT are going to treat you like crap, and they're looking at you as just as a token Republican, then no. Why should you be a part of that? Why should you even say, well, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and play along just to get along. I'm not going to follow the pokey rule on that end. If they're going to be upset about it, I'll show one way or another my displeasure. And granted, we can talk about it all day long, and they're going to say, well, there's just another house, whatever, over here talking. But the reality of the situation is that, yeah, it's that part where they're not doing what's supposed to be happening. They're not doing what's supposed to be right when it comes to dealing with the matter of inclusion. Now, the county level, like you said, at the county level, no problem. I have no problem saying that part at all. You know, they've done, even at a time when we had a lot of turmoil, a lot of them were trying to do what they can to help things do right. Jan Duncan, David Duncan, you had Andy Hogue, and Mike Morris, and several other people that were trying to do right to go ahead and right the ship when we had this disarray.
You mean after the primary?
After the primaries, and we had the Robert Morrow fiasco.
You mean after he got invited to Pokey show against everybody's orders?
Yes. And
Pokey had the cojones to go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So we had people that were trying to right the ship and trying to make sure or correct the ship and make sure everything was right, and they were there helping along as much as they can that they could do, without jeopardizing other things. But when it came to the state level and they're saying we need to go ahead and do this part, yeah, you can have the state level saying this is how you're supposed to be doing it. But if you're the top brass, and you're not coming down here to say, how's it going? What's going on? What do we need to do to help out? If you're not doing that, you ain't doing squat. All you're doing is just giving orders, saying, take care of this, take care of that, take care of this. I'm going to go find some more money over here so that we can go ahead and put into the party. And oh, by the way, how about you go ahead and follow those emails that I'm giving you, that way you can give us some money. And when it comes time to supporting grassroots candidates, then don't be asking a candidate who's a grassroots candidate for money to go ahead and pay for somebody else when we can use that money for other things.
It's kind of like being on your own.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In many ways you were.
And that was another reason that I decided to formally organize an Austin area MLK Association, because I didn't know what was happening at the state level, and what was supposed to be happening at the local level wasn't happening from what I could see.
Right.
And when I undertake to do something, I try to do my best, because that's the way my mom and daddy raised me.
Right. Oh yeah. And the Austin MLK, which is a perfect segue, by the way. This is actually a perfect segue. The Austin MLK Association will be able to do some of the things that at the state level could not be done.
And that should be done.
And it should be done. However, we're going to be the as I like to say, we're going to be the leading force in being able to identify what needs we're going to be able to identify the leading forces of what needs to be done at the state level, so that they can go ahead and carry that information around to the other associations. Now, you mentioned about the calling out of Melcher and not doing his job. I got to read that article, and I got to hear the podcast of Raging Elephants that did this. In the whole segue of what happened is that they're dealing with numbers.
Right.
Everything is about numbers. Everything that goes on in politics, everything that goes on in life, and anything that deals with money is all about numbers. They want to be able to say, how can we put money over here, so that, or what can we look over here that we can grasp at in order to put money into this situation. Unfortunately, because the RPT has not done its due diligence in providing outreach into the areas of concern that they have, i.e., the Black community or the African American community, because they haven't been able to do their job, as was said to Melcher. It's hard to gauge a metric based on a first-year operation. We were talking about this before, and just to give you guys an idea, if you guys go to Raging Elephants, you'll be able to see this thing about Tom Mechler. And I'm kind of playing both sides of the fence on this part because I'm looking at both sides. As a person who likes to play with numbers and look at numbers and was a numbers guy many years before becoming a teacher, you have to look at all possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
The whole argument was saying, what numbers do we see that are going to be able to give us a result? Well, we've been doing this for how long? A year, maybe two?
Yeah. Year and change.
Yeah. And the only way you can figure what you've been doing is a couple of ways. One of them, and what they were looking at, I believe, is a rise in emails saying, hey, I want to know more about the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I want to see a rise in the primaries in those areas to see who is voting as in the Republican primaries. That's the main. Those are the main statistics and the main metrics that everybody looks at now. What emails can I give that I can send out to people about what's going on? How many emails am I sending out a day or a week? And who's voting in the primaries, so that they can make a difference as to who's going to be the Republican or Democrat candidate.
But Gabe, there's data that's available about people who have voted in the primaries.
Right.
And from what I understand, if you want to grow, it's easier to expand if you build on what you have.
Right. Exactly.
So it's possible to identify what exists, and you build on that. But it seems to me what's happening is whatever exists is being withheld from those people who are trying to build on it.
Right, and that is a possibility. You're looking at that is a really big possibility. But here's the thing. Here's the thing on that end when it comes to looking at those hard numbers. Primaries every 2 years. Okay, we have an election every 2 years basically when it comes to state representatives or congressional. Those people that we're going to be able to see, we won't be able to see any influence of what we've done this year until the next primary. All the information that we're doing right now, we wouldn't be able to see until 2018.
Now here's what I spoke to a political consultant earlier today, and he described the situation this way. He says, on the Democratic side, they're very amenable to sharing information. But on the Republican side, it's like when we get information, oh, this is worth something. Well, somebody might make some money off of it. So what?
Exactly. Now
this is America. There's nothing wrong with making money.
Now, when you say about sharing information, don't say that to any Bernie supporter. When it comes to Hillary. And I will say this: don't say, you cannot even say that when it comes to the Travis County Democrat chairman, because when it comes to information, he's tight.
Okay.
But I will say this:
they can afford to be that way with a 65-35 lead. They can afford to be that way.
They can afford that way. But here's if you want to see kind of a short-term gauge. Here's what I would say that we need to do. Okay, and what the state, with Bray, this is what you probably need to do to give you better numbers. Look at the places that you've been in at the state level. Okay, we can even look at this at the county level. So Houston, Dallas can do the exact same thing. Look at where you've been at when it comes to the zip codes and the precincts, and talking about what it means to be an MLK representative or to be a Republican. And what you do is this: you look at what happened then, and you can gauge it for a year prior to that. You can compare the previous election or the previous national election to this year. And what you want to do is look at the zip codes, look at the precincts that you went into, and you have to look at two numbers.
And look at the difference.
You have to look at the difference. Was there an increase of voters that went out to vote? And two, was there an increase in non-Democrat voters? And the reason why I say non-Democrat voters is because the 2018 election was kind of one of those unique ones where you had people that did the never Trumpers, the for Trumpers, and those people that were never Trumpers sent their votes elsewhere. So if you look at the anti-Democrat votes, Republicans, Libertarians, Green Party, and if you saw an uptick in those zones, in those areas, in those precincts,
You made progress.
then you made progress. Now, is it a positive progress? It just depends on whether or not you want an email or whether or not they're going to vote in the primary next year. If you're gauging it at that way, then you have to wait till the following election cycle in order to determine that whether it was a success or not. But what you would want to do is be able to say, did we make a change in being able to get people to not vote Democrat? And if you were able to say, yeah, we got an uptick here, and let's say, for example, one of the precincts here in East Austin, we got an uptick of more people voting Republican or Libertarian or Green Party than the previous years overall that were Democrats, then you've actually had a success in that end.
Now, Gabe, my thinking and my strategy was this way in dealing with James was we have to show up, and many times people don't know you care until you show you care.
Exactly.
So you get to make a lot of you can make a lot of progress by showing up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
Definitely.
acting like you care. And for that reason, you and I know that I have when there are things that are of general interest, such as the guy that got shot 9 times, the girl that got bullied real bad in Waco. Those are things we need to. I worked on those are things we need to show that we give a damn.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And in fact, we had that moment in East Austin during the Cinco de Mayo event that happened at Fiesta Gardens. We've been out there for probably 2-3 years. Going out there, having a booth that says TCRP, we're there, and of course, we're not the only. That's not only white people underneath the tent. And we went out there, and I had every time that I've gone out there, I've had at least one Hispanic person get mad at me because they're saying you Republicans should not be here.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I love it. You know what that means? We're making a difference. People are noticing. We've also had you also have people that are coming in saying, "Hey, thanks a lot for being here. We really appreciate you guys here. I cannot believe that you guys are finally showing up." And that's happened every single year that we've been there.
And the neglect has been that bad, and that's our fault.
Exactly. It's our fault. And who's the one in charge? Who's the one in charge? The guy up at the RPT. How long has he been there?
I don't know, he took over somebody's term, didn't
Oh
he?
yeah, he took over Montessori a few years ago.
Steve something.
Yeah. You know what? Then it's their fault for being negligent to us. It's their fault for not taking care of what needs to be taken care of and assuming that just because we are going to have these tokens, like you and I, that are going to.
I'm not a token.
Well, to them we are.
They pull out a degree, I'll pull one out.
Well, yeah.
I'll pull up my SMU and Denison on anybody. All of y'all out there.
But they're going to look at us as being the tokens because we're like, well, they always vote Republican, or they're consistently voting Republican. We're going to go ahead and guarantee on their votes. But the reason why we vote that way, it's not because of the people up at the top of the RPT. No, it's because
of values.
It's the value. It's what we believe in as being correct. Because you and I have seen the other side. I know I've seen the other side, and I didn't like the other side.
I worked on the other side initially.
Yeah.
When I first broke into politics, I worked with Bill Oliver, who was the presidential campaign director for Jimmy Carter, when Jimmy Carter ran.
Nice.
And I also worked in Democratic congressional campaigns. I worked in, there are 3 strongly blue counties in Texas. I believe that with Harris, Jefferson, and Travis, and I've lived in all 3 of them. But when I was in Virginia, I worked on a congressional campaign for Chuck Carlson, and I realized then, I'm sitting there licking envelopes, stuffing envelopes, and I realized that we have to learn how to, what I call, steal a human issue, which is what I'm doing, which is what we're doing on the MLK with Waco, with the guy that got shot 9 times. We're getting out there on the ground with regular people who don't live west of 35, never have.
Right.
Were restricted by law from 1928 from living over there. And now they can't afford it.
Right.
But now the west side is coming to the east side because we got bicycle lanes and all this kind of thing.
And because it's cheaper.
Right.
And it's cheaper to live over here on the east side of 35 than it is on the west side. So they want to be able to go ahead, and you have people that change the law to go ahead and allow this to happen, which many people are saying, "Oh my God, this gentrification! I'm going to move." It's like, why aren't you fighting?
Gentrification, you mean the new segregation?
Yes, yes. And they're like, "Why aren't you fighting for it?" And they're like, "Because we can't." And we tell them, "You can. It's possible. It's possible to fight it, but you have to fight at the local level, you have to fight at the state level in order to get these changes done. And they just have given up.
And it's the Democrats doing it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And for some reason, at the top, it's like it's not. We know it, and on the local level, you and I may be doing it, but and James and the executive people are behind what we're trying to do, but that needs to happen on a bigger level.
Right. And they won't even talk about it.
Which gets to my point. One of the things that I have always believed from the get-go was that Houston-Tillotson should be a hub for us. The governor's wife is on their board. They have a race unity convention every year. These are the kinds of things we need to be involved with.
Right.
And it's sitting right in our back, sitting right where we need to work. And we had some good attendance there last year, I believe. You went last year. Of course, I go every year. I participate in the throwing of the thing and making it happen, working the committee to do that.
Right.
I work very closely with Dave.
Oh, they don't want me on there. They don't want me on there. I'm serious. You can only have so many Republicans on the committee before everybody says, okay, you've had too much.
But we got close to getting the Houston Republican Club on the campus.
Well, I'm hoping it happens. I'm hoping it happens.
We're waiting on the proposal. I had Houston-Tillotson representative was on our show a few weeks ago,
Right.
and he kind of committed on the air that,
I'm hoping
it's gonna happen.
I'll put it to this way. Based on my personal experience with Houston-Tillotson, it hasn't been positive because they don't like Republicans. I've talked to the president. She's assured me that it's not happened. That's not the case, and I'm taking her at her word. But I'm really hoping that that the Houston-Tillotson says we go ahead and be diverse and allow this to happen. That way we can have a club that is going to be affiliated with the Austin area MLK Association
Right.
to go ahead and make this happen. Because if it's not, then it's going to live up to the belief that I had before, that they do not want to have diversity.
Now there are programs that I anticipate will happen through the MLK Association, Austin area MLK, that will help foster and build those. We need to build relationships,
Right.
and let people know, as James said to me once, let them know that we don't have horns.
Right. Exactly.
But that needs to happen from the top down, not just us.
Right. And we will not get that part. I can guarantee you that part. Whoever's in charge of the state group, they will not do that for us. You know why?
No.
Because they don't care. They don't care. You know why? Because we don't have the money. We don't have the funds where he's going to say, it's viable for me to come down over here and hang out over here east of 35 because I know I'll make some money for the party. No. They're not going to do that because they want the money. We had an outreach director for the Hispanic community, and that was supposed to work for Hispanics or identify Hispanic people that vote Republican or that have the beliefs that want to vote Republican. He was looking for the Esquires. He was looking for all the people that had those nice little letters, dot whatever at the end of the name. And it's like, sorry, but you go there, you go in East Austin, where we're at right now, ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna find that many people. So it's people like you and I that have to say, okay, we believe in our principles. We believe in what we know is right, and being able to make a change in our community and make a change for the better of our future, which is why we have the Austin Area MLK Association.
Right.
That will be actually on Saturday. We will have our
Kickoff meeting.
Our kickoff meeting in East Austin at Sam's Barbecue, to talk about what changes we need to do in East Austin so that we don't have, or we can at least put a plug on what's been going on in this community, so that we don't have more people arguing about gentrification and why nobody's doing anything about it, because we can fight for it. No one will come over and say, why are the prices going up? Well, we know why. Let's go ahead and fight for it. No, we're not going to have people that are going to say from another group, well, we'll look into it. Don't worry.
We'll have a task force.
We're going to have a task force. We're going to find affordable housing for you to stay. When the reality of the situation is that they're taking away a home from another person to build a multi-level apartment complex so that one person can have an affordable housing and everybody pays full price. We can't be doing that anymore. The affordable housing has to come based on the value of the property, not on how much money you and I as taxpayers and whoever else is watching as a taxpayer that's going to give to go ahead and help a person live in East Austin, or live in North Austin, or South Austin, or any part of Austin, because they believe that by taxing people to death, and by taxing the people till they have to leave the city, that it's going to be the right thing for them to do. No, we can find other solutions, and that's what the group is going to do for the Austin Area MLK Association. So we can say, let's go ahead and come up with a better idea, because the ideas that have been coming up in East Austin ain't working, and they stink.
And they don't work.
And you know what? We'll put it this way: if Melcher or anybody else wants to come along and say, "How are you going to do it?" We're going to tell them, "Sit down and have a ride. Enjoy the ride that we're going to have, because we're going to show you exactly how to do it."
Well, I try to do what's right, and what's right is to give them an opportunity to answer. So,
Yeah.
of course, I'm going to invite them to the show.
Awesome.
I meant to go to y'all today to discuss that very thing. When they're going to be on the show,
Awesome.
so we can talk.
I'd love to hear it.
Because I am more concerned about doing what's right and about finding solutions than discussing problems.
Right.
That's what we have to be about.
Exactly. So we are trying to make that as a part of the solution by what we are doing this Saturday at Sam's Barbecue with the Austin Area MLK Association
10:30.
at 10:30, from 10:30 to 12:30. Correct?
That's good barbecue. You don't
And-
need teeth to eat the beef.
Exactly. It is so yummy, guys. Where we are going to sit down and have a conversation about what we can do to make a change in East Austin.
And we want to solicit people's ideas and their help, and financially and otherwise. We probably need your body as much, if not more, than we need your money.
Exactly.
It helps for people to see it.
Exactly. If we can get more people to go ahead and participate with the group and be able to talk about the important things that are happening, so that we can make that change, because the other groups aren't doing it. The other groups are saying, how, and I say this because I've seen it. How can we make this better? Well, let's just sit down and talk about what we are trying to do. Let's network. No. Let's come up with some real solutions to go ahead and fight the issues that are happening, because no one wants to do it. All they want to do, a lot of groups, what they want to do is just sit down and just say, well, let's go ahead and hold a blanket. If I was a tree, what tree would I be? And are you going to be he, she, it, or whatever the case may be? I've been to those meetings. Oh my God, it is. Oh my God.
I think we need to fight some right fights and fight them good,
Exactly.
and make some positive change for people.
And we can do that. We can do that through the Austin Area MLK Association,
It's gonna get done.
and make those changes that people
Starting
desperately-
starting Saturday morning, we want people to give us guidance on what they want us to try to do, and how they can help us. We're looking for help.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never played know-it-all. I know I don't know it all.
That's true. Well,
It's always something to learn.
yeah, exactly, and that's why we've always been able to have those great conversations with the people in East Austin about what needs to be changed, and we've had those conversations. A lot of people, when we ask, "What do you want to do to fix it?"
Gabe, I want to thank you for being on my show, Chief Running Gabe.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it.
It's-
Anytime, anytime we can sit down and talk, I'm here.
This is work, bro. But thanks for being on the show. We have a thriving audience, a strong of one.